Hey there, welcome. I'm Amrita from Artria Jewelry, and today we're going to make this simple wire wrapped pearl ring. For this pearl ring, the tools you will need: a needle nose plier, bent nose pliers, a 6-step looping plier, a jeweler's file, a ring mandrel, a flush cutter, and then these two are optional if you want to texture the metal. I like to do that, and I like to flatten the edge to hold the wire in place, so you'll see what I mean. A steel bench block and a jeweler's ball peen hammer. Materials you will need: 14 gauge copper wire, 24 gauge copper wire, and for this I'm just using an old cutout from another project, and then a pearl. I've chosen this flat pearl from an old bracelet that I'm upcycling, but you could use a freshwater pearl or any pearl of your choice. The length of 14 gauge wire you cut will depend on the ring size that you want. I want a size 8 ring, so I'm going to just use a piece of string, or in this case a wire, and wrap that around to see what length that is. Okay. And we're going to measure that out. That is about 2.5 inches for the ring. I'm going to flush cut the end here. I want a little bit of overlap, so I'm going to cut myself 3 inches off that wire. Now, if you choose not to hammer your wire, you could just wrap it around the mandrel, but I want to hammer and texture it. So what I'm going to do first is file the edges. Okay, that's rounded off on one end. Do that on the other. There we go. And now I'm going to hammer to texture the whole wire. And this is going to be the outside of the ring. So make sure you continue on that same hammered side. And then for the edges, I'm going to flatten that a little more and round it out. Now we're going to shape the ring around the mandrel. At that size 8. Okay. Now, to make sure that that is sitting flat, you could use a rubber mallet to hammer that down. And now we're going to just separate that ring wide enough for your bead or pearl to sit in there. And again, just make sure that periodically you slide it on to get that size right. Now I'm going to use that 24 gauge copper wire. You're going to thread your wire through your bead. And there's clearly a top and a bottom for this. And so that's the bottom. So I'm going to kind of wrap that midpoint through. And wrap toward the shorter end of that wire. So I'm going to wrap, and that will hold it in place because we flattened the edge. So I'm going to wrap that 5 times. And make sure you get a firm wrap. And then slide that pearl or bead on. And if one wire is going up the top of that, we're going to put the other one down below, so that way it centers the bead between the 2 wires. And then wrap that 5 times. And there, we're going to cut that wire on the inside and tuck it in. There we go. Cut that off. And sign that in. You can antique this ring, you can keep it as is. I'm going to just polish that wire because that's pretty antiqued, just to buff that out with a steel wool. And because I'm using a pearl here and it's delicate, I want to make sure to protect the pearl from the steel wool. Just doing that there. There, the ring is done. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a beautiful day.